I want to make one thing very clear, as a lot of you have blown this way out of proportion. I made a video when World's First was achieved for the raid saying I thought it could have been fixed in some way, as it took teams hours and hours to figure out the mechanics behind Boomer the first boss, and Marco seemed to do it a lot quicker than anyone else, plus he didn't play the game for weeks, comes back and completes the raid before anyone else. Don't go running to Marco saying, oh, he's calling you a cheater again or anything like that, because I never said that in the first place. Marco linked my video on Twitter and he overreacted to what I said. I don't know if he even watched the video I did because I gave him credit for completing the raid, but yes, I did think something might have given him an advantage over others, which doesn't mean he's cheated, but you've got to think, a lot of people are going to think like that. He had a bad build, Nick 2 had 27,000 health, and they took down the final boss with 7 active players. A lot of people struggle with 8 players, but I never once said he cheated and I never thought that. When you achieve raid completion as the first team in the world, you're going to have people being salty. People are going to come out saying aimbot and stuff like that because that's what they call when anyone is really good at a game. Not only that, but people have thrown all sorts of accusations. Oh, you're hacking. You've had inside information from like Hamish and Yannick was in your stream giving you tips and all the rest of it. But that's like, people are going to think things like that. You have to understand that. When you complete something first in the world, you're beating everyone else in the world. People are going to call you out and say you're a cheater regardless. But that is not what I've said. I don't think that. I haven't said that. Marco has covered the division for a very long time, so he will be good at the game. His team has other YouTubers in, Wids and Nick 2 to name a couple. I don't know what the rest of his team do. But they are also division content creators, so they're bound to be good as a team and good at the game. I don't have anything against Marco. I actually think he's an amazing player and content creator. I used to tell my mates I specifically go to Marco for tips because he's good, he knows what he's talking about, and that's never going to change. I'll be watching his tips to complete the raid myself with my team. But however, PC is a completely different ballgame to console. The whole game is developed on PC, so the devs have obviously made it work best on PC. And I do think things need to change around console to make it more of an even playing field. PC players will always have an easier time because of the advantages of a mouse and keyboard over having 2 analog sticks and a few buttons on a controller. I still believe that something needs to be done. Players have now speedrun on PC in less than 24 minutes. And the only 2 console teams in the world to complete this raid took 36 hours on PS4 and 17.5 on Xbox. Whether they decrease the difficulty, increase the hitboxes to compensate for recoil, or increase our stats just for the raid, development is only going to tell what's going to happen, and a lot of people will say that it's fine as it is, but that's everyone else's beliefs. It's a raid that a lot of players will never complete because it's designed to be crazy hard, the hardest thing you'll face in the game, but people will be optimising their builds better every day and they'll keep going back trying the raid. My raid ready build that I posted before the raid released is decent, I'm still working on that, and yeah, I've done Destiny raids before, but I massively underestimated this raid. As Marco put on Twitter, it would maybe have been better to do a world first for each platform, and personally I think the exotic and new gear sets should be easier to obtain, especially after the backlash about the first gear sets implemented into the game being so shit. The raid is for the more hardcore players, so a lot of players will never complete it, and players don't have hours and hours to commit to something like this. But honestly, if it's got a bit more balancing for consoles, I'm excited to see the next raid. I still haven't completed this one, but I'm excited for future content. And I saw CrayG's video, and I want to give him a shout out. Go and help him reach 10k by using the link to his channel in the description. He put his opinion out there, saying he doesn't think it was fixed, but he also understood what I said in my video. A lot of you have understood what I said, but a lot of you have jumped to the wrong conclusion, blown it way out of proportion, and I've also been watching him more and more lately. He's got an amazing channel. Also, go check out Marco's spliced run of the raid in the description. It's an hour long, but it's very impressive, and if you're stuck with a raid, you will pick up some tips from it. At the end of all this, it doesn't matter what people say, it's just an opinion and you can never please everyone. I think the raid on console should have a tiny bit of a nerf, but with that said, credit goes to Marco for World's First, credit goes to the PS4 team for World's First on console. It took them 36 hours, so that's a lot of commitment, dedication, teamwork, like, they've done an amazing job. And then credit also to the first Xbox team in the world that managed to do it in 17.5 hours. Obviously it helps that there's checkpoints in the raid, and imagine trying to do the raid with no checkpoints. Like, no one would ever complete it. It's like crazy difficult. Like, obviously there would eventually be teams that beat it, but I mean, at the start, in the first like week or two, people probably wouldn't even get close. They wouldn't have enough time. Like, you can't sit there for 36 hours straight doing the same thing over and over again. But I'm going to go improve my build and keep digging at the raid until I get somewhere with it. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.